All right, what's up, you guys? This is Devin from Project Sax, and we're back. Today, we're going to be working on looking up some saxophones that you'll see on Amazon. Now, the reason we're working on this is because you really have to decipher what's a good saxophone and what's not a good saxophone. Now, think about it. This is a very polarizing little topic here. Cheap saxophones on Amazon. Now, the reason this will be very polarizing is because saxophones can cost 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 400, all the way up to maybe $10,000 worth of a saxophone. And then you have these saxophones on eBay that are like $100, $200, $300, $400. And a lot of people are like, well, if I can get a saxophone for $300, why would I get a saxophone for $3,000? What's the difference? Why would I choose one over the other? And if I can get one for used for 174 here, why would I get another saxophone that's $3,000, $4,000, especially with the different voices, tenor, alto, soprano, bari, things of that nature. So, and then other people are like, these are cruddy saxophones, especially the ones that are colored, that come in deals and stuff like that. I mean, think about it. If you go to Amazon right here, where we on Amazon, you would have scrolled down, you would have go to, let's go to low price to high price, and then wait for that to load up here. And then you start to scroll down. I'm going to scroll down and see if we can get to something that's actually relevant here. Give me 1 second. But if you go from low price to high price, you're inevitably going to see, let's see here, one of those saxophones that cost, let's see here, and that's my computer huffing and puffing. But let's go back to where we were. All right. So if you were to get like a saxophone, like say for instance this saxophone right here, the Murano saxophone, like it looks nice and everything like that. Now let's scroll down. It's almost $300. Let's scroll down and see. We have 4 and 5 stars. Oh, that's great. How many people have rated it? 7 people. So that's not a very good turnout, especially when it's split so many ways. I mean, it's decent, but I'm skeptical about people who don't, or products that don't have a 2 or 3-star rating and things of that nature. But here, what you can hear people say is the color is awesome, it's beautiful, it's not a professional level saxophone. Bam, that's the first review I see. It tells me that it's not a professional level saxophone, but it's 4 stars. So I mean, it has to be good for something, right? Well, when you think about these things, you think about these top customer reviews, and this is what the top customer reviews say. And what makes them want to put something like it's not a professional saxophone, and what makes it not a professional saxophone in this, consumer's opinion or whatever. So, or customer's opinion. So, and then you have other people that say couldn't ask for more, 5 stars. Wow. By Samantha. Okay. Perfect for beginner saxophone. What's that? 6th grade. Excuse me, I'm far from my laptop, but and it says, sounds good, looks good. Plan to upgrade into high school. Okay, well, this is not a saxophone that we keep for more than 2 years. Okay, but if you were, I guess, I don't know, I would want a saxophone that lasts me about 3 years. The cycle of, elementary school, kind of. Maybe sometimes you might start from 3rd grade to 5th grade. Okay, that'll be a saxophone. You 6th grade, you keep that same saxophone. And then 7th and 8th grade, you start to look up for an upgrade and stuff like that. So by the time you get to high school, you will have a saxophone under your belt. Maybe that'll be your 2nd saxophone, maybe 3rd saxophone, depending on what price you're, choosing it at. But the thing about this saxophone is that when you get a saxophone, you don't want to keep buying saxophones. You want to have something that's sturdy, that lives with you. But these people that are writing these reviews, these customers, they always kind of get you with this, oh, we're going to upgrade in the future thing. Well, that's not the first thing you want to hear when you see a review, right? Or that's not the first thing you want to see. You want to hear, oh, I'm going to keep this saxophone for a while, right? And then maybe in the future I'll upgrade after 4 or 5 years. This is like 2 or 3 year spans that are like, okay, we're going to upgrade. So there's definitely something there that makes them want to upgrade. And I know these are not marketed as professional horns, but you want them to make the customer feel like they're professional horns, or this is very close to professional. But I'm not even hearing any of that. I'm not hearing any kind of forward speaking. It's more like, okay, we have it now, but we're gonna change it later, kind of thing. I don't like that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't choose these saxophones. And it says, and she loved it, and looked and sounded great. I noticed here this past tense, which means they already gave the saxophone up. Bought it for my 13-year-old daughter as a birthday present. Okay, got that, and then sounded great, looked great. Bang, 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 bang. It came with everything except for cork grease, which is negligible. You can buy your own cork grease, right? And this is basically a parent commenting from a daughter's or a student's perspective, or how did he thought. It's from a parent's perspective on his student and how she responded to it, and that's great and everything. She's sixth grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 13-year-old, right? Birthday present, yeah, all that great stuff. Got you into saxophone playing. That's great, and everything like that. But we don't also want this saxophone to do the opposite. You get a saxophone that looks good, but then doesn't make you feel like a saxophone is a good instrument because you bought a bad instrument. So that's also that, that's that other end of the spectrum. But also think about it. She says she loved it. Well, after being, 13-year-old playing in a band, you don't really have that thick concept of music or concept of sound or idealism about what you want. It's just kind of like, you're starting to get into it, and as long as you can blow a note or play something that sounds half decent, you're good with it, but you never really think past that. So basically this is coming out of, inexperienced people who just want to get in the saxophone game, and that's really what this is marketed for, because no serious saxophone player is going to buy this thing. So we're going to start first off with durability, and probably these things are very, durable to a sense. And probably as durable as a Yamaha 23, maybe a little bit less durable because nothing's really as strong as that Yamaha 23, but it probably has that, beginner feel to it. It probably tried to mimic the Yamaha 23 durability and then had some cheaper parts in there. But these things are, no-go for me, guys, because the reason being is because I can't have a saxophone that I can't have some life with it. I'm at this point now where I'd rather have a saxophone that I'd rather have for the rest of my life. I love the sound. I love the feel. I love, everything about it, because as a saxophone player, what you want to do is you want to have a saxophone that you can, you can finger correctly. You can actually play exactly what you want to play. The feel, what notes respond the way what notes are supposed to respond. But if you keep changing your saxophone, say for instance, if you got a saxophone from 40 or 50 years ago, which they still sell, or 70 years ago, it feels way different from a saxophone that was made yesterday, or a saxophone that was made even 20 years ago for that matter, because it's a whole different mentality about how to make the saxophone. So you really have to get used to whatever saxophone you have. So durability and basically functionality is very key. But as far as durability goes, these are probably half decent. I mean, you can't just make a saxophone and drop it and everything falls off. So you have to give it credit for some kind of durability. So I'll probably give them out a 6 out of 10 at least. It's probably half durable. I didn't see any comments down below that said, "Oh, it broke the first day I got it." I didn't see anything like. And this is just one saxophone. But we'll go back and we'll look at some other saxophone packages here. We have a silverish looking saxophone. Oh, that's pretty nice. It'll probably give you some some eyebrow action from your friends in the band, and all your other band members. Excuse my computer for going so slow. But now we're gonna move on to looks. Now these saxophones look pretty eye-opening, right? You look at it, you look at it from far, you look at it from close up, and these saxophones really do have a nice look to them. They have they have the silver and gold kind of look here. Some of them are blue, some of them are red, some of them are purple, some of them are black. Like the Mandini, like these saxophones that are $300-$400, the ones I'm talking about. Now, these do have, they have a resemblance of, some of the newer horns, but the parts and the things that they make it out of are cheap knockoffs and in combination with each other. So, they're bound to break at one point. But here's one thing that I on these saxophones, they have a choke hazard. Small parts not for children under 3 years old. That's very interesting because if I were to have a saxophone, and I don't think Yamaha has a choke hazard with their saxophones, which is very interesting. Why would they have a choke hazard with the saxophone? That's. I mean, of course, you have your reed and everything, but this is the saxophone. Or they might be selling the reeds. Yeah, they're selling reeds with it, but the thing about it is, that choke hazard is kind of an obvious thing. I mean, you don't want to have a saxophone, under 3 years old. But the thing about it is, with this thing being 223, it kind of opens a whole new market that it shouldn't be opening. You're not gonna buy a 3-year-old a saxophone that costs $6,000 or $5,000 or $4,000 or $1,000 and up, for that matter. But since this market is so so cheap for this saxophone has is marketed at 223. People is gonna buy it. It's like, oh, that's a saxophone. I've played the saxophone for years, and now my daughter is 3 years old, and I want her to be the youngest saxophone player in the world, and I have this cheap saxophone. So it opens that market for people who want to get this kids in it day one, or year 3 or year 4. So, so the construction they have to put that little disclaimer that these are not the saxophones that little kids should have, or these are not materials that little kids should have. All these reeds and stuff are coming in way too cheap, and it's opening up a market that it shouldn't. So they definitely do have to put that that disclaimer there. But these saxophones look really nice. I'm gonna tell you, these saxophones look really nice, nickel plated nickel and all that stuff, and yeah, it looks really nice. I don't know how long that lacquer or that plating lasts on there. But yeah, this and then you got different colors. Oh yeah, you can get it plated in green and purple here. We got the red. Oh, the red. But next we're gonna go to functionality. And like I said before, you want a saxophone that you can have for years. And with the reviews that I'm seeing for these things, people don't have these saxophones for years, so you won't really get a much functionality out of it. You won't get much of that, and you won't be able to play it like you want to play it. And so that really gets on my nerves. That that really gets me off my rocker. But Mendini, or however they pronounce it, is a very popular brand for this, making different tints and colors and shades of saxophones, and it being a real nice starter horn. But see, here now we have somebody with a 0 rating, and it goes garbage, using words like out of everything, it's I took it to the repairman and things of that nature, and it put me down because I can't get it repaired by such and such and such and such and such. So that's one thing. The longevity of this horn is not there. So what is this? Maybe 19 or 20 boxes of Van Dorn reeds worth of a saxophone. So yeah, see how much it's worth to you. If you need a little get by saxophone, maybe this is the thing for you. But as far as functionality is concerned, you're not going to have this long enough to actually appreciate the functionality of the horn. But we still have some nice 5-star reviews here, but it's very good. But I'm seeing through all of these reviews, it's not something you should have long term. It's not a long term horn. Excuse me. But then here we go, fixing. You can't get it fixed because a lot of fixers or that have experience, they say, we don't want to fix this because this is not a main brand horn. We don't have parts for it. It's not going to last long, even if I do fix it, because all the other things that were done to this horn is kind of shot from the ground up and things of that nature. So they will bash this, and that's one of the reasons why I won't get it, because I play my saxophones through all kinds of conditions, whether it be marching band, whether it be out on gigs and stuff like that. I can't have it breaking, and I can't have me not being able to get it fixed by anybody. And I don't want to go ahead and have to fix it myself, because that's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't even want to get back into. So that's one of the big reasons why I won't be buying one of these cheap saxophones, even though people need money nowadays. But and then people say some things like you can't forgive a saxophone player, like could not tune the saxophone at all. Now that of course is subjective. That's if you're a person who has the armature for the tune, things of that nature, but at the same time, it does have a big influence. Tuning has a big influence on the horn as well. Tuning has a influence on armature, but I'm pretty sure if they say I couldn't tune the saxophone at all, I'm pretty sure they have some experience with tuning saxophones. So, and then he got big mistake, 1 star, and then even the 5-star reviews say worth a try, and it's kind of like worth a try. That's not what I want to hear from a 5-star review, no matter what, even if it's a lower tier saxophone, things of that nature. But that's just me, guys. And then last but not least, sound. I actually have not heard any bad things about sound. I hear these saxophones sound decent. They like this guy said, they're great bang for your buck. But thing about it is, if you can't have it for a long time, it's kind of like, But like they said, they're pleased with the sound. It's not, it's not a Silver Mark 6 or anything like that, but they're pleased with the sound. So, if you are that kind of person, all in all, and they also say don't buy these off-brand, saxophones because they can't be fixed or they break easily and can't be fixed, but things of that nature. But like I said again, all in all, if you're that kind of person that needs a quick saxophone, you're not gonna have it for long, not gonna put too much time and effort into it, I'll probably get this one. Nice little quick pack. You want to look good in front of your friends and things of that nature, and you have a good idea of what a saxophone is supposed to sound like and what sounds good, and you don't care if it gets damaged or anything like that. Go ahead and buy this. But then again, if you're that kind of person who wants to put pride in saxophone and you're gonna play the saxophone for the next 30 years or 20 years or 50 years, don't get the saxophone. This is not worth your time. This is not worth the money. It's going to turn you off to saxophones because it'll get you frustrated in more ways than one. Now, if you know that you're not going to be using it for a while, you're going to upgrade really fast, this is a quick jump off horn. Get this quick jump off horn. It'll get you where you need to get. But if it's not if it's not in your best interest, to see the saxophone in a great light, you probably don't want this horn. Now, who knows? You might be able to get this horn and last for the rest of your life. I doubt it. At $400-$500 at 1/4 the price of a regular saxophone, but just get a saxophone like a Bundy or some or a Yamaha or something like that. That's something beginner. That it'll last you for a long time as a beginner, so you don't have to worry about getting a professional horn so fast, things of that nature, and then worry less about the looks and worry less about the whole ambiance of the saxophone as it occurs to you by sight, and think about more important things like fingering and tone and getting the most out of that saxophone before you even change. So if this saxophone lasts long enough for you to do that, then by all means get it. But at the end of the day, it's all about what you want to do. And my name is Devin from Project Sax, and I'm wishing you guys great sound.